The Cubs' confusing offseason took another gut punch on Monday when they found out that Roki Sasaki would not be signing with them. Surprise, surprise. What does this mean for the Cubs? What's next? Let's break it down here on the Setup Man. Welcome in, Cubs fans. This is the Setup Man. I am Kyle Stanley, and I would love if you could just go ahead and comment or subscribe. Either one of those. Yeah, you can like the video too if you want to, but anytime you comment or subscribe, it's a huge help for us. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure that you leave a review. But I'm going to be mainly talking today about, surprise, surprise, Roki Sasaki does not sign with the Chicago Cubs. I don't think that anyone was totally surprised about that decision. He hasn't signed with anyone else. He's just basically told them plus a few other teams that he's not going to sign with them. And so we're going to talk about, well, what are some moves maybe that can get us past this? We're going to talk about, honestly, I'm going to spend a lot of time venting about a crappy MLB offseason, not just the Cubs offseason, but another crappy MLB offseason, and how does this thing get changed? But there's some fun things coming up right around the corner for the Setup Man, how you can connect with us, how you can be part of our community, and the very first thing that is coming up, a live tomorrow with Lance Brzezowski. Every single week we're going live with Lance. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about what's the plan. Jed, Carter, Tom, what is the plan? Because it's not very clear to us Cubs fans right now. So Lance, he's going to be taking your hard-hitting questions. I'm going to be throwing some hard-hitting questions at him. I want you to be a part of that. I want this to be something that we start to just try to figure out. Is this offseason about getting better? Is it about saving money? Is it really about being on top in the division? Make sure to join us tomorrow. That is January 15th. That's going to be at 5 Central Time. All you have to do is make sure that you're subscribed to the Setup Man YouTube channel, and you will get notified of when that goes live. Now, also coming up this week, I'm getting on a plane on Thursday and heading to CubsCon. As many of you already know, on January 15th, when CubsCon kicks off, I am going to be doing a meetup with Sam and Matt from Locked On. So make sure you join us. Right now, 4 p.m. is the start time. We've talked about moving it up maybe about 15, 30 minutes just to make sure we're not competing with people trying to get through the gates for the very first event. Sammy Sosa, get to see him on Friday night. Excited. Hopefully get to hang out with you, have a drink at the chai bar starting at 4 for now. But if you want the best coverage of CubsCon, you got to make sure that it's here. You got to make sure you're here. Because from January 17th to January 19th, all of CubsCon, I'm going to be posting videos. I'm going to be posting some interviews. I'm going to be doing breakdowns of what I'm hearing, especially from guys like Jed. And if Tom says anything of significance, if Carter says anything of significance, Council's going to be up there. So all those things are going to be happening at CubsCon, and I want to bring that to you. And then the final thing, the final way you can connect with us. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys, but there's a lot of exciting stuff, and I don't want to miss anything. If you have not already joined our very free Facebook group, some of you out there, you're like, I don't have a Facebook group or a Facebook page. You should get one, because if you're not a part of Cubs Talk on Facebook, you're going to be missing some really cool opportunities to talk Cubs with us in live rooms and be a part of live conversations about the Cubs. Join in and make sure that you're in this free group to be able to connect with us, talk Chicago Cubs. And by the way, that link is in the description, no matter if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. With all this being said, Roki Sasaki not signing with the Cubs. I know that there was a lot of hope for Cubs fans, but at some points here, we had kind of convinced ourselves like, oh, because Shota's on the team, because Seiya's on the team, because Jed has started to build this funnel of Japanese-friendly recruitment, we kind of tried to convince ourselves that, like, yeah, it's a good fit. And I do think it's a good fit. But at the end of the day, this guy is best friends with Yu Darvish, or at least he's, some sort of mentorship relationship there. Not quite sure. He's really good friends with Ohtani, and he apparently was very high on the living conditions. And most of the time for Japanese players, that means the West Coast. So the only thing we really had on our side outside of Shota and Seiya being on this team was that Yu Darvish really does encourage a lot of Japanese players to look at the Cubs. And for that reason, you were kind of hoping like, hey, maybe Yu was over here being like, hey, I've only got a couple years left in the MLB, but you have 6 years with whatever team you pick. Don't just pick the Padres because of me. Here's what I really liked about the Cubs, or here's what I really didn't like about the Dodgers. I don't know what he would say about the Dodgers with his time there, but what I do know is that if he picks the Dodgers, a lot of people out there are like, it's not the Cubs. I don't care who it is. No, I care. If he picks the Dodgers, it is horrible for baseball. If he picks the Padres, it's one of the best things for baseball. He has so much power in this decision to either go to make the rich get richer, or to make the little guys, because, the Padres have been kind of the baby brothers. They took a step forward this last year, but legitimately, especially with all the stuff going on with their organization and their potential of offloading some salary, it would be so fun to watch Roki Sasaki go up against Yamamoto, go up against Ohtani, and to see that happen multiple times throughout a year. I mean, that's Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN written all over it. So I don't know. Let me know what you think, Cubs fans. And a lot of you are like, I don't care because it's not the Cubs, and it's at least he's not going to the Brewers or the Cardinals or the White Sox. Yes, amen. But and part of why I'm wearing my When St. Louis Loses, America Wins shirt. But at the same time, I do really think this sport needs something that's going to encourage people to watch. And I'm sorry, but Sasaki pitching after Shohei, and then after Yamamoto, and in between Glasnow and Gonsolin for one of the best rotations in all the MLB. That's just boring. It's really freaking boring. Don't go to the Dodgers. There is a video that's leaked out there that it looks like he was actually throwing with the Padres at Petco Field. And there's a lot of reports recently of like the Padres are like cautiously optimistic that Roki is going to end up with them. So I feel like it's the Padres at this point, and I think it would be great for baseball. Let me know what you think. At the end of the day, though, as I transition here, this has been another crappy MLB offseason. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not just going off of feelings here. I just did a little bit of research, and you're going to see this in a second. But I had Justin Steele on, what was it, probably 3 weeks ago now. And he was kind of like, oh, what a great offseason this has been. And I resoundingly thought the same thing. It was just like, yeah, this has been great. Kyle Tucker, and then you got a couple starting pitchers and a lot of relievers. You got Carson Kelly, and this is just the beginning, right? It's still December. We got so much time, and then there's been nothing. And so it got me thinking. I'm like, it feels like just transactions overall have been dead. And I know a lot of the experts are saying, oh, Roki Sasaki is holding up the market. That might be. Seems silly to me, but that might be. But it has come to such a standstill that I now am getting so much 2023, 2024 PTSD. It's hard to find things to talk about when you're on here trying to talk about the Cubs on a daily basis. And there was that long week of just like, boom, boom, boom. Sammy's back. Kyle Tucker, got Carson Kelly. Now there's Luzardo in the trade talks. Now there's Pablo Lopez in the trade talks. And you're like, wow, this is fun. And then it all just stopped. And again, you could blame the holidays. You could blame the Sasaki holding it up theory. But at the end of the day, here is the reality as I'm sharing my screen. This is all of the free agents still left. If there's some words in blue after their name, it means they've signed. Some of them are not hyperlinked in blue. So some of them are just words after their name, means they've either signed or they declined a qualifying offer. So as you can see, there's a lot of names without words after their name, especially as you get into the outfielders, especially as you get into the starting pitchers. Starting pitchers have signed a little bit with more regularity. The relief pitchers is where it's just like, whoa, where are these guys going? So I did some counting. I did the numbers for you guys. Here we go. 164 free agents still left on the market. 10 first basemen, 8 second basemen, 7 shortstops, 8 third basemen, 26 outfielders, 28 starting pitchers, 77 relief pitchers. Guys, we are 27 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. Did we not learn our lesson from last year that making signings after catchers and pitchers report is not only bad for the game, but it's bad for the players too? This means if they started, let's just say today, if teams started signing players today, and you assume that all 164 free agents are going to have a home before February 10th when pitchers and catchers are reporting, which is not going to happen. But I'm just saying, if that's the goal, there would need to be 6 signings per day from now until February 10th. 6 signings per day. I can't remember the last time this offseason there was 6 signings in one day. And I'm not talking about arbitration and all that stuff and qualifying offers and everything like that. I'm talking about just a normal average day, because everything after today is just an average offseason. There is no date to look forward to for any of this stuff. It's just spring training. So what are we doing, MLB? There has to be something put into place. I have 0 ideas. I'm going to completely admit that I'm just banging the drum and complaining, and I apologize. I don't like just bringing problems. I like bringing solutions. It's part of what I think makes me a decent, productive human being. But, I mean, is it something to the effect of like, if after pitchers and catchers report and you have to sign players, then you lose a minor league option with, one of your guy with the least amount of minor league options. That just popped into my mind. There has to be some sort of consequence. If you think about this for a second, Cody Petit has 2 minor league options left. If the Cubs said, hey, we're going to make a major league signing after February 10th, and the league said, well, then you lose 1 minor league option with Cody Petit, that might change things a little bit. I don't know. I'm completely spitballing here. I didn't think about this and put this up on the board and say, yeah, that's the answer. That literally just came to my mind as we were talking. So do you have an idea? Share it in the comments. Is it something to do with what I just said? Is it more of a financial fee? Like, hey, if you sign a player after this date or make a trade after this date, something effective like if it's not made within this window, then you have some sort of fee that goes along with it. Could be a flat fee, could be based on the amount of the signing, something like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Either way, it just feels like the MLB off seasons have just dragged the last couple of years. And it felt like this one was really off to a good start. And then this went down. Now, one thing that would make me change my mind on the Cubs offseason right now, I'm going back to the Cubs now. One big move that would make me change my mind, and I don't have the exact trade proposal because as you guys know, I do trade proposals. You should go check those out if you have not seen those videos or listened to those podcasts. We got another one coming up this week. I'm not going to give you an actual trade proposal. I'm just going to tell you, if we get a top of the end starter via a trade, I don't think there's a top of the line starter in free agency that the Cubs are actually serious about going after. Serious being the key word there. I think if there's a guy like a Pablo Lopez, for example, or if a Luis Castillo somehow finds their way back into these trade talks and the Cubs can get someone like that, you have helped me erase the Roki Sasaki thing and erase this frustration for the last few weeks. And now I'm excited for this season. Yes, there's still work to be done. I'm just talking about a big move. I'm not talking about that solidifies everything on this roster. I did a video last week about how this roster is far from solidified, 1 or 2 injuries away from catastrophe. But if you can get some sort of top of the line starter like that, I'm gonna have a short-term memory on some of this other stuff. What about you? Pablo Lopez, Luis Castillo, is all forgiven? Let me know in the comments. Some interesting moves, not forgivable, not like, okay, now I'm really excited for the season. It's just like, that makes me feel pretty good. One that we keep talking about, Kirby Yates. Only reason I don't say that's like, yes, that's the one is just because of his age. Amazing season last year. I think that was probably his best career season. I don't see him repeating a 1.17 ERA. I just don't see, what is he about to be 38? I don't see that happening. Another Interesting one would be Kenley Jansen, also up in age for that reason. He had a really good 2024. 2023 wasn't as good. So I think to myself, well, who is the real Kenley Jansen right now? Please stand up. And if it's the guy in 2024, cool. If it's the guy in 2023, you know, at least it's some veteran presence, some mentorship, I would assume, just given the fact that this guy's gonna be a Hall of Fame closer. That would be really cool for me. And how about this one? Max Scherzer. Now, he has not had a full season in the MLB, I believe, since 2022. Low 2 ERA during that time. 2023, he spent some time between the Mets and the Rangers, ended up winning a World Series, and then he was pretty much out for most of 2024. I think about 40 plus innings in 2024. So a 40-year-old with that kind of pedigree. The Giants just signed Justin Verlander for $15 million. I see Max Scherzer probably wanting the same. So for that reason, I don't know if the Cubs are going to spend $15 million. They spent $14.5 million per year on Matthew Boyd. Maybe they spend 15 on Max Scherzer. Maybe they say, hey, Max, you were not nearly as healthy last year as Justin Verlander. So for that reason, we're willing to give you 11 or 12. Okay, I'm interested. You've piqued my interest, Cubs. But I'm not saying if at that time that happens that I'm all in. Only thing that I'm really all in and excited about would be a Pablo Lopez trade. There's still a lot of work to be done here, guys. There's still a lot of work to be done here. You have to get backup infielders. You have to get especially a backup first or third baseman or someone that can play both positions. You have to get more major league relief, and you have to get another starter. We talked about it a lot in last week's video. I'm going to link it in the description. But for now, Setup Nation, I'm going to go put my arm on ice. We will see you at CubsCon. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow live with Lance talking about what is the Cubs plan.